Hey, there we are. Oh my goodness, it took me a couple of minutes to get the internet going. I love where I moved to. I love the country, but the internet is a challenge, and we're having a storm right now. So it was a little bit tricky getting on. But yeah, today, live at lunch. If you join in at some point on your lunch, I'd love it if you said hello, tell me where you're from. As I always say, this is streaming in 6 different places, so I may not see your comments in the moment. If I do, I'll answer, and I will definitely go back and look everywhere. Um, and now that I see that I had to move to my phone because of the internet, you can see more of my daughter's artwork. Usually you can't see that one up there. That's her self-portrait. So I love that you can see that. Anyway, today, live at lunch, I wanted to speak with you about stress, managing your stress in the moment when you're feeling super stressed out. Like, how do you manage that? So if you're new to me, my name is Linda Downey. I'm a functional health practitioner and transformation coach, meaning I work specifically on transforming my clients' experience of their life, transforming their body and their health. Hi, Dan. Thank you for saying hi. Hi. So, and as a functional health practitioner, what I learned in my training and my own life, I was stuck with a lot of health issues, autoimmune issues. You're in Michigan. Thanks, Dan. Um, and then with my clients as well, that the stress and the stuck stress that we stayed in. Yeah, the internet's going to be challenging. We are having a storm here, so I apologize. I'll check the replay later, and if it's not great, I'll redo it for you. Okay, so hopefully it holds steady for me. But managing your stress. So when you're like feeling really stressed out, all of your energy is up in your head, in your brain, trying to figure out what am I going to do? What's the next thing? We get very, very focused on. I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. We get very, very focused on the problems. And what happens is we start really extrapolating on those problems. And we think out in front, like, well, what if this happens? So for me, my daughter, whose artwork you see behind me, um, passed away a few years ago and was in the hospital a lot of her life. And so I very much was caught up in the every time we went in, what if this happens? What if that happens? The doctors would tell me, well, we're looking for this, possibly this could be the problem. And I had to learn how to teach myself not to worry about it until it was there to worry about, because the doctors will do, and I'm sure it's their job to give you all of the possible scenarios. Could be this, it could be that. And then you're like right down the rabbit hole of what if it is this and that. And we do the same thing even in other kinds of circumstances with our job, stuff happening in your personal life, whatever, right? We go right down, what if it's this? What if it's that? What if, and it's always the worst case scenario. So when we're doing that, we have all our energy up in our brain. And a really great tool, I'm going to give you a couple right now, but is to stop. The first thing is to stop when you start to notice that, and you can't shut that looping. We call it the monkey mind, or those looping thoughts. Stop and start to ask yourself a couple of questions. Number one, do I know this to be true for sure? So if it's like, my daughter Charlotte, if the doctor said she maybe is going to need a surgery, we have to run some tests. And then I'd be like, she's going to need surgery. She's going to need surgery. Well, hold on. Do I know for sure she's going to need surgery? No, I don't know that yet. That hasn't been established. So let me stop worrying about that. So do I know it to be true? Is it for sure? Is there something that I can do about it? Or is it out of my hands? Because a lot of times we get very, very caught up in things that we have no control over. And if it's out of my hands, like that's really between God and Charlotte, right? And the doctor's job to figure it out. There's nothing that I can do other than bring my best self to the picture. So excuse me, that's why I include that as one of the questions. Is there something that I can do to make a difference in this situation? And if there's not, then I'm going to tell my brain, stop worrying about it. If and when it happens, then I'll worry about it, and then I'll see what I can do and what I can provide. So that's the first thing. Ask yourself some questions. Challenge the stress pattern. Challenge it. Put some doubt in there. Maybe this isn't going to happen. Maybe it's not going to be the worst thing. The next thing that you want to do is pull some of the energy out of your head and into your body. So when I first started learning this years ago, I was like, what's the big deal about my body? What's the big deal about my body? Getting in touch with my body. But it's really critical. Number one, your body is where you live. Your body is your house. So your feelings and your emotions and your thoughts all are happening within this house that you live in. And the house is telling you, are things running right? You know, is there a warning light? Is the smoke alarm going off? You know, your house tells you, your body tells you. And have you ever heard the term disembodied? We become very disembodied when we're stuck in stress, meaning we are all up in our head and we're not connected to our body. And our body is trying to let us know. And it's also the first place that you can go to calm down is your physical body. So you may not notice in the moment that you are disembodied, but just assume that you are. Just assume if you're feeling that kind of overwhelming constant stress, that it would be a good idea to get back down into your body. So here's what you can do to help you do that. Put your hands on your heart. And that's because your heart, the heart center, is the creative center of your life. It creates what's happening in your life, and it gives the brain information. The heart is much more in charge than the brain. The brain just carries out the orders that the heart tells it. The heart is feeling fearful. The heart is feeling upset. The brain says, got it, we're in trouble. The heart is feeling love. The heart is feeling appreciation. The brain says, got it, we can relax. So the heart is really doing pulling the strings. So when you put your hands on your heart, you bring energy into that energy center. You're pulling energy out of your head and bringing it down into your heart. And then if you can just take a couple of seconds, it doesn't need to be an hour meditation or something like that. It can be 2 minutes. It can be 10 breaths. Just keep your hands on your heart and try to pause from your monkey mind, okay, from those swirling thoughts. Like for me, in my example that I've been sharing with you, my thoughts are all about, oh my God, my daughter, what is she going to need? What's going to happen to her? And what I could do instead is just picture her face and picture her smiling at me and picture how much I love her. And that can disrupt the monkey mind. You want to get your emotions back into a place of love. Right now they're in fear or they're in worry and anxiety, wherever they are. So you put your hands on your heart, you get your attention to that space, and then you call up some emotions to kind of eclipse. We just had a moon eclipse, right? To eclipse the negative or the depleting emotions that you're feeling. And then you can just do 10 breaths slow. So there's a lot of different kinds of breaths that you can do, breathing. And actually next Thursday, I'm running a free workshop. It's totally free with a friend of mine who's a wellness expert. And we're going to be teaching you different kinds of breath work and how it helps. But just think about your breath for a minute. All of your emotions change your breathing, right? When you're having an argument with someone, you breathe in a certain way. When you're laughing and happy, you breathe in a different way. When you're crying, you breathe in a different way. When you're really ugly crying, like sobbing, you breathe in yet a different way. As you fall asleep, you breathe another way, right? So our breath changes with our emotions, and we can use our breath to help change our emotions. So when you get that picture in your mind to eclipse the picture of fear or anxiety, you put your hands on your heart to bring energy into your creative space, into the really the master controller, and you slow down your breathing. Within 2 to 3 minutes, you're going to have a different nervous system, probably even within 1 minute, but let's say 2 or 3 minutes. So what I want you to do is breathe in through your nose. So you're going to do it in through your nose for a count of about 5. So you would breathe in, pause for just a second, and then exhale for the same at least 5, if not longer. You want your exhale to not be shorter, but at least be longer, because that's releasing the carbon dioxide, right? You don't want to tell your body you're holding carbon dioxide. That's what you do when you're running, and breathing fast when you're running, when you're fighting. So by changing your breathing, you're telling your nervous system, we're okay. We don't have to be in a fight right now. We're okay. We can stay calm. By putting your attention to your heart, you're giving the energy to your creative center. You're pulling the energy out of your head. And now 10 breath cycles like that, and you're going to be able to problem solve. You're going to be able to answer those questions that I posed at the beginning of the conversation. Do I really know this to be true? Is it possible something else could happen? Is there anything that I actually can do about this, or is it out of my hands? Like those kinds of questions. Now you can really ask those and answer them from a place that's not panic, from a place of solution. You're being solution driven, right? So there's a lot that goes into that stress response, why we go there in different situations. And that's a lot of the work that I do with my clients, is getting to the root of that, unraveling that, so that you stop going to those stress places automatically. But while you're learning that, this is a great tool to calm your body and be able to manage your thoughts. Okay. So again, next Thursday, the 17th, I'm doing with a friend of mine, Nutzi Strickland Giddings. She's a wellness expert. We're going to be doing, you have to register. It's free, but you have to register because it will be on Zoom. A workshop where we're going to go into different kinds of breath work and what it provides for your body. And if you're a stressed out, overwhelmed person and you feel like the stress has taken over your life, you feel like you don't get some good sleep, your health is affected, you're not present in your relationships, you have that disembodied feeling, you're worried about your health, any of that, please reach out to me. It's what I do. I only work with, a handful of people at a time, because we really use a lot of different tools. We go pretty deep to really transform life. So it's not necessarily for everyone, but if you are a fit for that kind of work and really want to transform yourself, reach out to me, drop me a message here. I will make sure that I connect with you and just find out, where you're at and if that's the right program for you. Okay. But for now, hand on your heart, get an image in your head, a picture of someone you love, something you can appreciate in the moment. 10 slow, deep breaths, and then ask yourself some doubt questions to start to poke some holes in your looping thoughts that are off to the races. Okay? Thanks so much. Thank you for popping in during your lunchtime. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye.